All right, no more time for teasing. Andy Baskin officially joins us from Baskin and Phelps 92.3, a radio host on 92.3, The Fan in Cleveland. Got to make sure I get it right. But before we get into the nitty-gritty on the gridiron, we're going to hear from Josh McDaniels and the high praises that he had for Cleveland. Take a listen here.
This is as big a challenge as we've had all year, no question. I think their front four is exceptional. And it's not just Miles. I mean, he's one of the truly great players in the league, no question about it, and presents all kinds of issues. But I think their front in general is very disruptive. It's a penetrating front. They're going to try to get into the backfield and create negative runs. It's as good of a pass rush as we've seen in total. Linebackers are super fast, and because you spend so much time trying to block the four guys on the ball, they have a lot of opportunities to run and tackle, and they do a great job of that. They're very, very fast, all of them. Young kid inside does a great job of getting everybody connected and setting the defense. Secondary's sticky in coverage. They play a good chunk of man-to-man coverage, probably as much as we've seen from any opponent this year. Blended in with their different zone calls. And they also are very adept at reading the fact that the rush is getting close. And so the sign of a good defense to me is when they're all kind of connected together. And when the rush is getting close to the quarterback, it seems like the secondary always knows it. And so then they get tighter, and then they're ready for the ball to be thrown. So I'd say, and Coach Schwartz has always done a tremendous job. So this is one of the best coached units in all of football. Certainly the way they play, physical, fast, aggressive, really good football players at all three levels, challenge you on every down, don't give you anything easy. So this is, and obviously statistically, pick one, and they're at the top of the league. So.
All right. You love when a coach can fully break down the reality of the situation ahead. Some notes and some reactions from what McDaniels just broke down there. Obviously, this defense presents issues, very disruptive up front.
Sure.
Great tackling team. We've heard that from Vrabel as well as McDaniels. Really tough to rely on the run against this team. And then, more importantly, a sticky secondary. Level of concern, 1 to 10, Kaufman.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that absolutely on paper, because the Browns have a terrible offense, that you would think the Patriots should win. But are you as comfortable going into it as maybe a game like Tennessee? No, because Cleveland's defense is legitimate. It, had a really solid week 1 game against the Bengals when Joe Burrow was still playing, obviously. A couple weeks after that, has a late comeback to beat Green Bay and that very challenging offense. And so this team has found a way defensively to stay in many of these games. And so, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little uphill for Drake May and company.
A little uncomfortable. We're going to find out from Andy what level of discomfort or confidence we should have. Welcome back, Andy.
Hi, guys. Sorry about that. We're just learning how to use iPhones here in Cleveland. I mean, McDaniel and Vrabel, those guys took all of our good iPhones when they left Northeast Ohio to Massachusetts. So now I've got it figured out. We're good.
No wonder we're so tech savvy over here. He brought it with the new era. But speaking of all the things that he's brought into the new era, a level of confidence for this Patriots team and definitely a lot of hope to Patriots fans, but kind of staring down the scope of probably one of the toughest defenses, or clearly the toughest defense they're going to face yet. Where should the concern lie for the Patriots and for Patriots fans going against this Browns defense?
Well, I got to tell you, it's the front four for the Browns. And obviously when you have Myles Garrett, he's a guy that can shake things up. And, it's been beneficial to the entire defense. They brought in Carson Schlesinger, a rookie linebacker from UCLA, who has just been off the hook good. And, they brought him in early, and he's the guy that ended up wearing the green dot on his helmet from day one. So he's the one that's calling the plays. The secondary looked great with Denzel Ward leading the way last week. The Browns are starting to get even better, I think, on defense. It's the offense that causes question marks. And even when you look at the fact the Browns were able to put up more than 20 points last week, which they have really struggled to do. They did it last week against Miami for the first time since week 10 last year. You just have to look at the defense that put them in position to score, I think, 21 of their points last week. So the defense is what the Browns are all about, and it all starts with the front four.
Yeah, I think digging a little deeper into that defense here, Andy, I mean, just looking at some of the numbers, the Browns, they lead the NFL in yards allowed per game. They are third in passing yards allowed per game. They're fourth in rushing yards allowed per game. Around here, during the Bill Belichick years, there was a lot of bend but don't break talk when it came to the defense. The thing with the Browns is they're, with all those top 5 metrics that I shouted out to you, they're actually 13th at points allowed per game. And so it almost says to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, they don't bend often, but when they bend, they kind of break. So where are the Browns vulnerable defensively, do you think?
Well, I just think those points they're giving up is because the offense has been bad. It's a pick 6 here. It's giving the offense on the other team, like Baltimore would have been the prime example. Baltimore just had the ball deep inside Browns territory all the time because the Browns offense couldn't get anything going. And so I think when you look at those big games, like when Baltimore was able to put 44 up, it's because the offense put the defense in such a bad position or gave up points when we were on offense or when the Browns were on offense. I haven't played a snap. Nope, I haven't played a snap all year. That, you look at that, it's the defense that sets them, that gives them every opportunity to win. And even though you see the high number of points they're giving up, they are all directly related to an inefficient offense.
That's got to be tough. And plus, no matter how great your defense is, eventually fatigue can take over. You can't have your defense on the field for the entirety of game after game.
And that's what happened against Minnesota. I mean, that was the one time that the Browns offense kind of put them in a position to win, and the Browns defense gave up an 80-yard drive late in London. And so all of a sudden people are like, oh, well, what's wrong with the defense? I mean, the defense is the heart and soul of this team. Jim Schwartz does a fantastic job, and I really think that's why they will be in every game this year. They may not win many games, but the Browns defense will keep them in the game.
Yeah, they're going to make it uncomfortable, that's for sure. And speaking of uncomfortable, we've got to figure out, what the key is to get past this Browns defense. And some people might look at the Miami game and think, oh my gosh, Achane put up 80-plus rushing yards on them. That's the recipe. But the reality, in my personal opinion, is I don't think you can go into this relying on a run game, especially a Patriots team who have kind of been hit or miss with getting their run game going.
Mostly miss.
Mostly miss. My theory here is the short underneath passes is the way to go. But how could you possibly see kind of a way to penetrate this tough defense?
You got to try to get through to the secondary, and if you can establish the run and then go to the pass, I think obviously that's the way the Patriots can do that. I look at this game. This game is all about 20 points. You look at the Patriots, you look at the Browns. Whoever gets to 20 first or can get over 20 should win the game, I would think, when you look at what the Patriots defense is all about and if you look at what the Browns defense is. And Dylan Gabriel's coming off his first win as the Browns quarterback last week. And as a starting quarterback, it has been a quarterback mess here ever since Deshaun Watson got here. So still trying to figure things out. And a lot of fans are just wondering, because the Browns have 2 first-round picks coming up in the NFL draft, if we're just sitting around waiting for the next great college quarterback, which is probably what's going to happen in Cleveland again.
It terrifies me to think of Cleveland drafting another quarterback.
That jersey list is just getting
Insane.
longer and longer and longer when it comes to all those names. I know you go back with Mike Vrabel, the Pats head coach. What a lot of people may not remember, because we really don't talk about it often, is after he was fired by Tennessee, as he waited out that next head coaching opportunity, he was a coaching and personnel consultant last year with Cleveland. Any advantages that he can take from that experience into this game?
So Kevin Stefanski talked about that this week, because I think we all look at that. And there are a lot of Browns fans that if the Browns would have lost to the Dolphins, our talk on sports radio would have been all week, how do we let Mike Vrabel out of the building? Well, we also let Kyle Shanahan out of the building at one point, too. So, and Mike is not only well respected here, just not only because he was with the Browns last year, but he's beloved because he went to Walsh Jesuit High School, which is in Summit County, which is just outside of Cuyahoga County for Clevelanders. And he played at Ohio State. Other than playing for the Steelers for that little bit there, when Browns fans didn't like him, Mike is very well respected. And there are a lot of folks that'll say that when Mike came in last year, he made a difference for this team, and it wasn't. And I think it was Mike that said it this week. I thought he said it, or I heard it somewhere along the line, that when he was in Cleveland, he didn't want to come in here and steal the show from Kevin, or he just wanted to be a part of football again. And I think the biggest impact, especially from what you heard from the players this past week, is that his ability to get in there and work with these guys one-on-one, just kind of taking you back to your grassroots as a player that, it's not all about the big picture. It's about fundamentals, and it's about becoming a better player so that you can help your team. And they really threw a lot of kudos at Mike about the way he was able to help this organization, but in particular to be able to help the players become better at their own craft. And I think sometimes when guys get the NFL, they probably think that they know it all or they learned it all. But Mike really helped a lot of these guys out. I think he's one of the reasons the defense is so strong this year. You put him with Jim Schwartz, that's a pretty good team. I'd be scared if we ever lost Jim Schwartz here and he ended up in Boston. It'd be another run and watching another Browns quarterback or another Browns coach go on a great run in Foxborough. Thanks. We're done with that.
I think something Vrabel does really well is help put a chip on players' shoulders. We've seen him bring to life a couple of players that may have been counted out or just kind of had a level of expectancy to perform much, much better this year. Kayshon Boutte being one of those guys, looks like he might be marked by Campbell. Campbell's got a lot of speed on that Browns defense. McDaniels talked about how sticky this secondary can be. So what have you seen out of the secondary and more so Campbell? Because this could be a turnaround point in his career now playing for the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, this will only be his, third game here? I think this is his third game coming into this week. Last week, he was outstanding against the Dolphins. The week before, not so much, but it was his first week here. And, they traded Greg Newsome, was a guy they were high on, especially when they first brought him in from Northwestern. They bring Campbell in. He seems like a good fit. Obviously, last week, he showed what he can do, and I think that Browns fans were excited about it. But, again, you're talking about a secondary with Grant Delpit, who had a fantastic week last week. He was the AFC's special teams player of the week, but he was way more than special teams. He's a big reason that the Browns had the ball in good scoring position and were able to put points on the board offensively because of Delpit. So sticky is a great word, I think, for the Browns secondary. It's tough to throw on them. But again, the Browns defense can't do everything. And that's the reason, as we sit here and juggle quarterbacks each and every year, that the Browns have any kind of good stuff going on right now. Quinshon Judkins has also stepped out a little bit, and he's been pretty much the only playmaker, especially coming back after sitting out the beginning of the season with some legal issues.
I'm glad you brought him up because we've been sitting here for however many minutes and we're just praising up and down this Browns defense. Tell you one thing the Patriots defense does really well, and that's contain the run. Actually, a little bit better even than Cleveland. Third against the run here in the NFL here this season. Pats have also yet to allow a 50-yard rushing game to a running back in any of these games, these first 7 to begin the year. But Judkins, and like you said, small sample size, but he is averaging just about 80 per. And so how can they hope to slow him down?
Well, that's just it. And I think the Steelers figured that out. That Pittsburgh knew what they needed to do to contain him. I know the Browns' offensive line, and this is a stat that I don't know a lot of people are talking about, 7 games and 7 different starting lineups for the Browns' offensive line. So it's been a mixed bag of tricks. The Browns need to be able to run the ball. They have to, because when Dylan Gabriel is throwing the ball 52 times, the Browns aren't winning. And last week it was a little interesting because it was raining really bad in the first half, so they had to go to Judkins last week. But they have other options at running back. I just don't know how they can win without being able to get Judkins at least 15 to 17, 20 carries in this game. And if you go back and look at Judkins' numbers from last week, I think he had 86 yards, 84 yards last week. The majority of them came on a 42-yard touchdown run. So even Miami was able to contain him a little bit, except for that big run. That would be a fear. I just fear the Browns aren't going to have any offense this week, especially if the Patriots can stop Judkins and any kind of rushing attack they have. The Browns they're hoping for Jerry Jeudy to step up as the best wide receiver on this team, and he just hasn't. And the Browns wide receiving core is probably is on no one's fantasy team, anyone across the board. Jeudy might be the only guy anyone has.
Oh, that's exactly where I was going next, because I feel like there's a level of trust that still has to be built here for Dylan Gabriel. But granted, there were a couple big connects between him and Jeudy. Like, is that something that they can try to build off of, knowing that the Patriots can stop the run or prevent the run a little bit more? Yeah,
I would expect David Njoku, who was hurt last week, should be back, and Harold Fannin Jr., who has been just off the hook good as a tight end.
Good to know that.
He's a bull, man. I'm telling you, Harold Fannin Jr. has been the best find of Andrew Berry's rookie class here. It'll take 4 or 5 guys to take him down, and they get Gabriel into these short yardage situations where he'll throw the ball 7 yards and Fannin can carry guys for another 2 or 3 yards to get the first down. So if you're looking for Gabriel, and by the way, Gabriel has been in this really compact offense. They haven't let them air it out. 2 weeks ago, they had a game where I think they only had one play over 20 yards. So they'll build these big drives up, but if they don't score, they come up empty, and that's another reason why they're losing. They've got to be more effective in the red zone offensively. But if you're watching the Browns and you need to stop them, it's Njoku and Fannin, the tight ends, who are going to see the majority of those high percentage plays that Gabriel has been able to accomplish. Gabriel hasn't thrown an interception in 3 starts either, too. Part of that is because of the high percentage plays of the tight ends.
I'm going to be scared to see the tight ends get into the mix because we didn't cover tight ends all that well during training camp in the beginning of the season. Andy, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Make sure you guys check out Andy Baskin. Baskin and Phelps, 92.3, The Fan in Cleveland. Really quickly before I let you go, is Vrabel a better hockey player or a football coach?
So I one time when he was in Columbus at Ohio State, he was playing for the Steelers at the time, we had open ice at a place called the Chiller in Columbus. And I watched him come out on the ice with a guy named Jay Crawford, who a lot of you might remember from his days at ESPN. We were skating like late night on a Sunday, and Mike could not skate at all. And I'm like, oh, my God, this guy's in the NFL, and he's going to break his leg. So I wouldn't want him, but I wouldn't want to be in the corners with him either when he goes for a check.
That is a great thing to know. Thank you so much for the insight versus the Browns, as well as, well, the great story with Vrabel, because we all love him here. Andy, thank you so much again for joining us. Make sure you guys continue to hang out with us here on Boston. Is under the chat. Let us know your thoughts. 617-790-0928. Don't go anywhere. It's time to get into some legal trouble, or lack thereof. I don't know. On the other side of this quick break, we'll see you there.